That and there. Right. Hi, everyone. You're right. Got that right. Yeah. Yeah. It's done everything like the way it's meant to. Ooh. That's good. Sorry, I'm a bit out of sorts. Kind of. Yeah. Spawn had a moment. She's all right. She just didn't want to stop playing a certain game a certain anal-dwelling fish bought. Wonder who that could be. Yeah. Yep. You're all right, bro guy. How are you? Yeah, way too excited again. So, yeah. So, you're right, Pearl, Slim, Global Mom, Brainless, Bro Guy, Demon Orb. Chess. Oh my god, I don't even know how to play chess. Never learned. My nan taught me drafts and gin rummy. You know, all the important ones. Where? So, I found quite a few stories. If I just remember how to get to them. There you go. Sorry, I don't really use Reddit a lot. Thank you. Yeah. Been chilling out a lot. Well, I've also been in a lot of pain. But been mostly like on Discord playing games and yeah, doing real life stuff. Though me and Pearl should be doing a fun stream soon, playing a like really silly game, which is going to be fun. And there's like one or two other games that I found that I really like the look of. So you guys, I might live stream it and you can watch me absolutely fail miserably at playing it. You can literally watch me like fuck up so badly, have no clue what I'm doing and laugh at me. It will be a thing of beauty. Hi Mallory, I'm good, thank you. Doing a horror story read. I kind of went MIA for a little bit. I got distracted by video games and Pellfish. He's very distracting. So, ooh, this one's good. So, I found a lot of the stories on No Sleep. I will check, Brainless. I will check. So, this is from the r/No Sleep by someone called Captain _ Ilaga. It's called Jeremy Did It. Aren't siblings fun? Well, not if you have 6. I, John, of course, had 6. 5 brothers and a sister. And our parents weren't rich. We lived in a 3-bedroom apartment on the 6th floor in a poor neighborhood. 7 kids, 3 bedrooms. Even though we lived on the edge of poverty, life was good until it wasn't. My parents were working and my oldest brother Greg had a shift at his part-time job. My brothers Tim, Henrik and Adrian were somewhere with their friends. So that left me with my 5-year-old sister. That left me with my 5-year-old brother Jeremy and the oldest sister, Lisa. I was doing homework. I shared a bedroom with Henrik, Tom and Greg, so with them out, I had the room to myself. I was working on some maths, and then I heard it. A loud scream that was coming from my sister's room. I ran to see what happened. I saw Jeremy and ran over to the window. I knew what had happened. I looked out of the window and looked down. My fears were true. There, at the bottom of the 6th floor drop, was the body of Lisa. Jeremy, what happened? I said, trying not to panic. I was hiding and jumped out to scare her, he replied. Then she fell. Jeremy, she's dead, I said, now panicking. I regretted saying that. He looked at me and went quiet. I need to call 911, I said as I walked out the room to grab the phone. After calling 911, I called Mum and told her what happened. I then went to see Lisa, leaving Jeremy in the apartment crying about how he doesn't want to go to jail. Lisa was dead, very dead. I pushed through a crowd of people gathering around the body like it was an animal at the zoo. Eventually the ambulance got there with 2 cop cars. Mum and Dad got there not long after. After hours of waiting, crying, and a lot of coffee, we went home. When we got back, Dad broke. He opened the fridge and drank beer after beer. He then started slapping Jeremy, which then became him punching him, which then became him throwing him at walls. Mum wanted to stop him, but was too scared. After 20 minutes, my brother Greg had enough and punched Dad and took Jeremy into another room and locked the door. That didn't stop Dad. He managed to break the door down. He grabbed Jeremy and left the apartment. He came back without Jeremy. Nobody questioned him. Years went by and I moved out. I even got married and had a kid. Everything was good until it was late at night and I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door to find a man dressed in a dirty suit. His hair was long and he had a messy beard. Can I help you? I said nervously. Is this John's household? He said even more nervously. Yes, that's me, I replied. It's me, he said, excited and nervous. Do I know you? I said, confused. Hang on. Yeah. Do I know you? I said, confused. I'm your brother, Jeremy, he said with hope. I was shocked. You're alive! Come in quickly. I took him inside and we talked for hours. He asked if he could stay for a weekend and I agreed. The next day was a Saturday. I went to visit Mum and Dad at the retirement home where they now lived. We talked for a bit and then I told them Mum, Dad, you'll never guess who showed up last night. Who was it, dear? Mum asked. Jeremy, I said. My dad dropped the coffee in his hand. But Jeremy's dead, he said, shocked. What? Me and Mum spoke at the same time. I killed Jeremy. I was confused. Are you sure he was dead? Yes, his head wasn't attached to his body when it was done. I truly regretted doing it. I suddenly became scared. I left to go home. When I got home, I was ready to confront the guy in the house, but he wasn't there. I walked into the kitchen and found my wife and kid dead on the floor. Arms pulled off, bites taken out of them, blood everywhere. A large scratch on the walls like a bear. Like a bear scratch, but giant. My wife was holding the phone. I grabbed it and found a photo of Jeremy playing basketball with my kid. The next photo was the fake Jeremy with black eyes and a horrible smile and a large cut on his neck. And that was it. No other photos. I saw a note on the kitchen counter. I opened it. It read, Jeremy did it. Oh, hello other people that have come. God, that was spooky, man. Like, no one batted an eyelid that a whole ass child went missing right after one of the child died. And they're just like, nah, one dead, one missing. That family seems all right. We ain't got time for that. No. What the fuck? Oh, this one was so good. I read ahead on this one. Again, from the r/no sleep. And this user is called Sugar-Sode. Or Sugar System of a Down. Probably Sugar System of a Down. Title is... Actually, the title will give it away, so I'm not going to say the title. So I, 36, male, ended up having to sign a lease and move in with a complete stranger named Adam almost a year ago. Adam, 33, male, was a bit unusual, but we got on okay at the start. He was a bit too strict about the chores and would constantly use my belongings without permission. We ended up having a massive argument, and I just lashed out in anger and punched him in the face. I remember watching in slow motion as he fell backwards and hit his head off the table. It was very clear that his neck had snapped, as it shouldn't bend at the angle. I ran into my room and hid. I didn't think that I would sleep, but I somehow drifted off. I awoke the next morning and was terrified to walk out of my room as I knew what awaited me. I eventually plucked up the courage and let out a scream as I saw him sitting at the kitchen table eating his breakfast. He looked at me confused and asked if I was okay. I just stood there with my mouth agape until he finally left the apartment. I convinced myself that what happened was all a dream, as it was the only explanation. That night, when he came home, we ended up talking about some random stuff and actually enjoyed each other's company for the first time. I found out we had a lot of common interests. We opened a bottle of whiskey that I had gotten as a bonus from work and started drinking away. I got a bit too drunk and decided to try something out. I walked into the kitchen and grabbed the sharpest knife we had. I could see the shock on Adam's face as I plunged the knife into his chest repeatedly. I will admit I got a bit carried away and stabbed him over 100 times. I walked into my bedroom and couldn't wait to see what tomorrow would bring. I woke up the next day and yet again, Adam was fine. I realised that I could live out my deepest, darkest fantasies and no one would ever know. Every night I watched the life leave his body as I used another method to kill him. It became like a ritual that I did just before I went to sleep. Imagine every depraved act you have ever wanted to commit against someone. Well, I inflicted it on him. I honestly never thought of myself as a sadistic person, but I knew there would be no consequences for me. The most fun one was when I ran a lawnmower across his face and watched as his screams were cut off as his face was ripped open. I came home one evening and decided to take the night off from killing him, as I was exhausted after a long day of work. I sat down on the couch and just tried to relax. I could see Adam was giving me a few weird looks, but I just ignored him. I saw him shrug before walking away into the kitchen. I had forgotten about him until I felt him stab a fork into my eye. I began to scream in pain as Adam said, "I guess it's my turn now," before running a knife across my neck. I screamed myself awake the next morning and ran to the mirror to find no trace of the injuries that had occurred the previous night. Adam smiled at me when I walked out of my room and said he hoped I had a good night's sleep. I ended up moving out of that apartment the following weekend as I couldn't sleep while he was nearby. I thought of everything I had done to him and lived in fear that he would do something similar. This is why I have lived on my own ever since. You never know what your roommates are capable of. Oh, I like the ending on that one, just the complete. Yeah, that I left because my roommate. Oh my god, they're psycho, man. I don't know what they might do to me. Oh, bitch, you gave him a lot of fucking ideas of what to do to you. Oh, I didn't know they were doing something. trying to remember what ones I have read and what ones I haven't. Okay. Right. This is again from r/no-sleep. And it's by the user gtrip14. If your child mentions a man with 3 yellow eyes, you need to listen to them. I'm sitting in the rocking chair in the corner of my son's room. In the opposite corner, there is a man-shaped silhouette, head cocked at an angle, staring at me with 3 yellow eyes. 2 of them are right where a human's eye should be. The other one is settled about where I think the thing's forehead is. They glow softly, just like my son had explained. Ever since it entered the room, there is a ringing in my ears that must be similar to tinnitus. Tinnitus. Not especially painful, but irritating in a way that puts you slightly on edge. You'd know this damn thing was here even if you didn't see it. It isn't moving right now, but occasionally it will. I'm not sure how to describe it. It blinks in and out, I guess. It blinks and the head is turned. It blinks and the head is turned at the opposite angle as dogs sometimes do when you talk to them. My son has talked about the man with 3 yellow eyes since he was able to form a coherent sentence. Every 4 or 5 nights he would wake up crying out for us, and one or both of us would head to his room to see what was wrong. We always turned on the hallway light to illuminate our way into his room, since the floor was often a minefield of scattered toys, placed in just such a way to puncture the foot of a groggy adult. He would tell us that the man with 3 yellow eyes was in his room watching him. He never mentions him trying to hurt him, talk to him, or touch him. Just watches. Complaints of a headache often came along with these weekly events. We gave him some ibuprofen, soothe him until he calms and goes down. In the morning, he will recount the events again, but by mid-morning, all concerns of the man with the 3 yellow eyes seem to fade away. At age 3, our son was still having his weekly occurrences with the man with 3 yellow eyes. It was summer break, and my wife, a school teacher, mentions that she wanted to go visit her parents in another state, and I recommended it. It would give me a great chance to get a few things on the endless list of things to do knocked off. The thought also entered my mind that this may be the best chance for me to spend the night in my son's room and see if there was an environmental factor creating the illusion of the 3-eyed intruder. I can still remember as a child the silhouette of my jacket hanging on the door looked like a gremlin hanging from the hook. Other times the settling noises of our house would produce a noise I was sure could only be some ancient beast in the attic. We all grew up with our own personal boogeyman, and I was determined to see what caused my son's confusion. Earlier this evening, after my wife and son departed for her parents, I performed my usual bedtime routine. Check the door locks, check the door locks, quick microwave dinner, brush my teeth, pyjamas, and off to bed. I shut off the light and stretched out in my son's twin-size bed. As I hadn't slept in a twin since I was a child myself, there was some adjusting to be done. Before I was able to comfortably settle in, glancing around the room, I didn't immediately notice anything that could be mistaken for the man with 3 yellow eyes. For nearly an hour I looked around and continued to fail to find the culprit. Around 11 p.m., I began to noticeably begin drifting off to sleep, when suddenly, in front of me, 3 yellow dots appeared in my field of vision. With shock, I jolted up in the bed, and the 3 yellow dots disappeared. For a few minutes I sat breathing heavily and laughing internally for letting myself get wrapped up in the boogeyman hunt. After I had calmed back down, I put my head back on the pillow, and the 3 dots slowly reappeared. Without the fog of sleep, I could see that the security light at the back of the house was able to make its way through 3 holes in the window blinds. There was a privacy hedge outside my son's window that blocked almost all the light, except for in this small area. I began congratulating myself for solving the mystery so quickly. It must be some nocturnal animal that sets off the security light once or twice a week, and my son wakes up to 3 penholes of light, and his sleepy haze thinks that there is some mysterious creature watching him sleep. Feeling proud of myself for solving the mystery, I grab my phone off the nightstand and get out of bed to head to my own room. No need to spend the rest of the night curled up in a small bed when a comfortable king-size mattress awaits me. As I turned around to walk to the door, I could see a black silhouette shaped like a man blocking the exit. I froze in place, and as I came to stop, that is when the 3 yellow slits slowly opened and looked in my direction. After shaking my frozen posture, I yelled and began to charge in its direction, but stumbled backwards when it began moving towards me at the same speed. At the same time, a ringing started in my ears. I stumbled backwards in a chair in the corner, and as I fell into the chair, I saw the thing blinking away, and then into the opposite corner. I'm not sure how long I intentionally sat frozen in the chair, but the creature just started occasionally blinked in a place, moving the position of its head. Eventually, I began to inch out of the chair, but it would blink back into the doorway. I eased myself back into the chair. It would again blink back to the opposite corner and continue the emotionless gaze. A few times I've tried to make a call to emergency services on my phone, but all I can hear is white noise on the other line. So again, here I sit in this chair, looking back at this thing, the man with 3 yellow eyes. I've spoken to it, but when it opens its mouth, it emits the same sort of yellow glow and a series of clicking noises. It hasn't tried to hurt me, and it only moves to the door when I try to get up. I have no damn clue what to do. My phone will probably die soon, and sharing this is the only thing I can think of to try. I'm not sure this will get out. The man with 3 yellow eyes is blinking in and out. But now, when he blinks back, he is a little closer every time. I'm going to make a break for it soon since I don't have any other options, but I'm sure it won't work. If a child in your family tells you there is a man with 3 yellow eyes watching them sleep, then listen. It is here looking at me and inching closer, so I guess it doesn't follow the kid that sees them. So get them away and don't look back. And for God's sake, don't sleep in the room where they've been seen. I liked that one. Yeah. He had his phone and didn't bother to record it. Use the phone flashlight. That might have been a good one, since it seems that light kind of gets rid of it. Because they say they've never had a problem getting in when the sun's saying it's set. They turn the light on, they walk in, it's fine. Yeah. And they have posted a few updates. Just woke up about 20 minutes ago on the floor. I'm going to leave the house now, but I'm not sure exactly what to do next. They said turning on the flashlight on my phone is the last thing I remember. I just woke up about 20 minutes ago on the floor. Feel like I've been hit by a semi-truck. Someone made a priest joke. Someone said solution is to call a Catholic priest. Exactly. The child will be far more afraid of that, so will hardly care about yellow eyes. Saying that they've been to the hospital, they're sick, no one knows what's wrong with them. And that was the last update as of like a week ago. So I wonder where the story will go, if they're going to make it as continuance or not. Oh, this one. This is a long one. Very long. I wouldn't say it's so much scary. It's sad, bit dark, bit not sci-fi, bit paranormal. TNG. Which one's TNG? Trek New Generation? Ah, thank you. I am neither a Trekkie nor Star Wars like fan. I've watched a bit of both of them, but I'm not like a religious watcher. No glass today. It's like the last sips of it. I can't be bothered to get up and get a glass just to finish the end of the bottle. So, that's from more than 3 months ago. So this is from darkly_gathers. My boyfriend is killed in the exact same place every day. And as much as it hurts, I'm here to watch. 6 months ago to the day, right here at this bus stop, my boyfriend was stabbed and killed. There are no vehicles here at this time of night. Even here in the heart of the city. No people either. The rain is my company, as are the blinking, glowing lights, ever neon, that send out their colours across the road and the glass and the puddles in ethereal washes and waves. I lift my gaze and look across the street. The rain-soaked road shimmers in shades of yellow, teal and pink, with flashes of green and orange, and the occasional drifting red or blue. He was mugged, gave up his phone and wallet, and then tried to prevent the guy from doing the same to somebody else. Some young woman. The details aren't even important, really. I've been through them all hundreds and hundreds of times in my head, and each time the outcome's the same. Tristan, taking his final breaths, grasping as he collapses to the ground and bleeds out over the concrete. It's going to happen again, right now. I check my watch. 3 more seconds. I'm sat at the bus stop and I turn my head to look to the right. Tristan shimmers into view and my heart pangs dreadfully as it always does. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. There he is, a watery, shining and silvery being, translucent. He can't hear me, he can't see me. It always starts the same. He's listening to music. He looks so peaceful here. I wonder what he might be thinking about. He has a rose in his pocket. He looks down to it, and his tongue sticking out to one side, cautiously and carefully adjusts it. My pulse races. This is where the atmosphere changes. I watch as he looks up in surprise, as he is engaged by the mugger. I can't see the mugger himself, only Tristan. But the situation is plain on Tristan's face. And besides, I've seen the CCTV. I know how it goes down. He speaks some silent, voiceless words as the rain falls. He narrows his eyebrows and regards the mugger with caution, care, with disdain. I watch as he is provoked, as he steps to the side and puts out an arm, as he attempts to defend the young woman he is with. I watch as he holds out his forearms, using them as a makeshift shield, as they are slashed by the assailer's knife. I see the fear, the determination in Tristan's ghostly face as he fights, as he struggles to bring down the attacker, as he silently shouts for the woman to get away. A vein bulges in his neck as the knife is forced into his chest. He gasps, and it goes in for a second time into his stomach, then for a third. I watch as he staggers and collapses to the road. The rain falls silent through him, and he makes no splash as he lands in the shimmering puddle by the curb. He lays there, his ghostly body fading in and out of sight, before he falls totally still, and the vision is lost. Lost until tomorrow night, when it will be back, when he will be back. Same time, every night, over and over, over and over. I used to think it meant something, that I was being shown a clue, that Tristan was trying to communicate with me from beyond the dead. No one else can see it, of course, just me. Classic. I got so angry, so desperate, so hopeful, so bitterly, bitterly hopeful. But night after night, week after week, month after month of trying to save him, to learn the meaning behind the vision, this echo of his death, I gave up. My soul may as well have left my body. It doesn't mean anything. The echo's purpose here, if any, is to taunt me. Or maybe it's just a glitch in the system. Who knows? Who cares? I don't know why I still torture myself like this. Yes, you do, Imogen. You come here to watch him for that first minute, that brief little window when he's listening to music. A lump rises in my throat, as it tends to do when I dwell on the subject for too long. You come here to see those moments of blissful peace, to wonder what song he might be listening to. As for me, I'm listening to a version of Vvicked game this evening, and I'm imagining that Tristan was listening to it too. It's such a good song, sad but peaceful. You should check it out if you don't know it. Thunder rumbles and rolls softly across the distant sky. I look up, but there's no lightning here, only the steady, breezeless rain and the blinking of the city lights. I see one of the spectres above me, hovering there above the road, between the towering buildings and the neon screens and signs. An ad for Coca-Cola rolls across one such screen in shades of faded white and glowing red. These colours dance across the spectre's ghostly flowing body. The spectres, they used to scare me. Back at the beginning. Now they don't. They don't do anything. Picture a snake, a king cobra, ideally. You know those snakes? They have the hoods. The spectres look like a giant cobra, roughly human size, made of smoke and liquid wind, dark and shadowed. Don't know how else to describe them. They are featureless, eyeless, but I get a sense that they're watching me nonetheless. There are 3 of them tonight. Sometimes there's 4, sometimes there's 2, sometimes 1. They hover in the air, and then after a while, they just drift away. I never see them arrive as such, but I can expect them to always show up as the play-by-play of my boyfriend's death is performed for me at the bus stop. I look back down to the ripples and reflections on the road and chew the skin around my fingernails, gnawing softly, trying to push away each and every thought that intrudes upon my mind. Impossible, of course, but I try regardless. The spectres start to turn. They're going to glide away now and disappear from sight. I note, for the 3rd night in a row, they're taking the same route, drifting past her faintly but almost imperceptibly buzzing billboard, and behind a towering skyscraper at the intersection. Curious. Follow, urges a voice in the back of my head. I ignore it. I can't listen. I don't get my hopes back up. My heart can't take it anymore. I can't bear the thought of hoping for meaning in this senseless hell. Follow. Don't make me, I whisper. A lump rises in my throat. Follow, Imogen. And so I pull down my sleeves and pull up my hood, and with a tremendous exertion of will, I rise. Hope wins again, I guess. I despise it. I hate it. But who even cares? I may as well follow. I have nothing else to lose tonight. Let's see where we end up, shall we? So I go across the road. I don't bother checking to look for traffic. There are never any cars at this time anyway. My feet splash through the water, and the colours of light are sent out in circular ripples from the steps of my shoe. I lift my gaze and squint through the rain. I catch the shadowy tail of one of the silent spectres drifting down a parallel street at the end of the road, and, against my better judgment, I hasten after it, suddenly fearful that I might lose its track. Through the city we go, between the lights and the quiet and the centennial lampposts. Where are you taking me, spectres? I murmur aloud, but they don't answer me. I wouldn't expect them to anyway. I am gradually led to another road, not dissimilar to the first, a burger joint with faded paintwork, but a flashing orange sign stands directly ahead on the corner. The rail of the overground train winds its way between the buildings to my left. Steam drifts lazily from a vent near my feet. And over to my right is another scene. Another ghostly, shimmering scene playing out right there on the street. My blood runs cold and my adrenaline surges at once. This is new. I've never seen another ghostly scene before. The one featuring my boyfriend's death has always been the only one. I thought it was unique, but that assumption is promptly shattered as the spectres drift through the air above. The scene ahead depicts a girl, a little younger than myself. She's on her phone, on the sidewalk. She keeps looking up to somebody I cannot see. She's talking words I cannot hear. What is this? I ask aloud, to no response. The girl turns to face her invisible partner, a silhouette of a wispy, silvery light, and I watch in horror as she is struck by something large and fast. It's difficult to say what it is, but my best guess would be a car, careering from the road and across the sidewalk. Her ghostly body is thrown back and hard against the lamppost as she crumples to the ground, her neck clearly broken. I wipe the water away from my friend with a trembling hand. Why are you showing me this? I ask in a whisper. But the spectres do not respond, and when I look up to them, I see they have gone. The rain falls around me, and I close my eyes, allowing it to wash over my skin. When I open them, the ghostly girl too has vanished. There's nothing else out here for me tonight, and I'm on my feet. I may as well just walk home. My dreams are disturbing and sad. I awake in my apartment the next day to find that the rain continues. It washes down the side of my only window. I lay there for a further 85 minutes before I get up. My sheets reek. I'll clean them tomorrow. I rarely leave the building whilst it's light these days, but something compels me to go back out on the streets today. Perhaps it's the haze, my desire to walk in the rain. Who knows? But out I go. I wearily grab the first coat that I can find in my room, and I head out. Walking the streets with my head down, breathing in the cool city air. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just following my feet. I need milk. I guess I'll stop by somewhere and pick some up. I trudge onwards, gnawing a little at my fingernails. I don't go to my regular place. I go a little further. I walk a different road. And before long, I realise it's one that I recognise. It connects directly to the place the spectres brought me to last night. I stop and look around, faintly bemused. What an exciting twist of fate, I murmur to myself, deadpan, looking over to the spot where I saw the ghostly playback over the burger joint. And I freeze. That's her. She's right there, the girl. Fuck! And she isn't a ghost or a silvery wisp of light. She's human, alive, flesh and blood. I start to panic. I don't know what to think or how to act. It's definitely her, but in full colour, standing in the exact same spot, going through the motions. She's on her phone, occasionally glancing up, talking to her friend. Oh my God, the car! I hear it before I see it. Caneering wheels round the corner unseen, and I don't fuck around. With a burst of sudden frenzied energy, I leap from my position and race the length of the road towards her. I can hear the car skidding down the road towards us, the engine revving louder and louder. The girl looks up to talk to her friend, completely oblivious of her surroundings, and I barrel right into her, bringing her down to the ground with a grunt of alarm and covering her with my body as the car slams into the curb behind us, flies right overhead, little shards of glass raining down all around. I hear shouts and screams of surprise through the rush of blood in my ears, and after a final screech of metallic crash, there is suddenly silence. Quiet. It hangs in the air for a moment. I clamber up and away, staring down at the girl on the ground. And she stares back up at me, chest rising and falling, in shock but alive. Others came to our aid. Someone calls an ambulance as the crowd gathers. Someone puts their hand on my shoulder, but I shrug them off. I turn and start to stride away. Steady at first, but then faster. I hear a voice that I presume to be the girl's. Hey! She shouts after me. Hey, wait! But I do not wait. I just run all the way home and slam the door shut behind me. Tired and stressed, struggling to mentally process the implications of my interaction. I look down at my hands to see they're shaking. Breathe, Imogen, breathe. It all happened so fast. Fuck. I yank back my hood and run my hands through my hair. Did I just save her? Did I just save that girl's life? The ghosts. So they can show me things that are yet to happen. And I can change them. I can alter the outcome. And there it is again, that sickly sweet blast of hope. And I don't bother trying to resist it this time. Fuck it, it's delicious, dangerous drug, and I can inject it directly into my veins. Maybe Tristan can still be saved. Maybe I can change what happened. I await the night, my emotions going round and around. When darkness falls, I head back, out through the streets, as the lights glow and the hum of the cars dwindle until the roads are empty. I return not to the bus stop, to the site of Tristan's death, but to the street corner by the burger joint, and it is here I find the spectres. I look down at my watch. The minutes tick by, and I await the moment the ghostly girl is due to appear. And of course, she does not. Why would she? I saved her. I prevented it from happening. I stare up at the spectres, hovering grimly in the air above, and I throw out my hands. I can save them then, can I? I've asked you before, and I'll ask this again, I shout. Can Tristan be saved? Please, let me save him. The spectres are silent in their response, but one by one begin to drift away down the roads, down a new path between the neon lights, and I set off in quick pursuit, jaw set. They lead me through street after street till we come to the walls of a pharmacy. A glowing green cross with a couple of damaged LEDs hums softly overhead, and I see the third ghost, an elderly lady walking along the sidewalk. Nothing seems out of the ordinary here, but I brace for some terrible shock, watching anxiously as she passes me by. The edges of her silvery form dance and drift in the rain, and as she reaches up for the crosswalk button, she suddenly jumps and clutches her chest. She stumbles from the curb to the ground, rasping and wheezing silently before dissolving into the silvery stream. Okay, I say loudly, I get it. You're showing me things yet to happen, so I can stop them. I can stop them all, spectres, and I'll do it if you'll bring back my boyfriend, right? You'll allow me to save Tristan too. The spectres don't answer. As with before, they have simply vanished into the rain. I look down to my watch, 2:15 a.m, and I try to remember the timings of the previous events. Tristan's death takes place at the same time every night. The time was the same for the girl too, but it happened in the day, not the night. So 12 hours then. I get 12 hours warning. At 2:15 tomorrow in the afternoon, I'll return to this spot. And return I do. With newfound purpose, I wait for her here, for the elderly lady in the urban haze of the afternoon. And as sure as the neon glows, there she is, hobbling peacefully down the sidewalk towards me. Excuse me, I say to her before she has a chance to reach for the crosswalk button. Would you like some assistance crossing the road? I ask her. Oh, goodness. You know, that would be lovely, she begins as the car honks its horn on the opposite side of the road off the street, loud and sudden. Her words are caught in her throat, and she clutches her chest, at once in surprise, though this time I'm here to hold her, to help her sit carefully down on the bench nearby. I'm able to tell someone to call an ambulance, and they do so, and I stay until the paramedics have taken her away. But she was in decent spirits as they loaded her up. She smiled at me and gave me a wave as the doors were closed. And so, just like that, I saved another. This becomes routine. Every night I head to the previous place, wait for the arrival of the spectres in the rain. I follow them to the next location, from ghostly vision to ghostly vision, and every subsequent day I return to the same spot and prevent the tragedy from ever occurring. It becomes my drive, my purpose. Every night the rain falls, and every grey afternoon I save a life. each one later in the day than the previous. I prevent a cyclist from being struck by a car with a simple wave of my arm. I save the life of some idiot vlogger doing pull-ups off the edge of a balcony by shouting into his face. I spent an entire night talking to a young man on the edge of the bridge, listening to his life and convince him to give tomorrow a try. I never falter. I never screw up. I'm always planned and prepared. With careful word of caution, I can prevent a policeman from being shot in the chest. I stop an accident by preventing a drunk driver from returning to his vehicle. And I stop a little girl running out into the road. As I said earlier, each vision is shown to me a little later in the night. The last one, the one of the girl I saw, was at 6:31 a.m., a minute before sunrise. And surely that's the final vision of these night after nights. The spectres never drift during the day. So, when darkness falls again, I head not to this spot, as I have done before, but to the site of Tristan's death, my go-to. I wait bitterly for the sequence of events, and yes, there in the neon-washed darkness he shimmers into view. My heart hurts as I watch him listen to music, his final song. I shout into the air before I even see them. To the spectres, I know they will be there, watching. Okay, I shout, turning around in a circle in the middle of the road. I did it! I followed you all the way through the night. How many people have I saved now? 30 or more? I laugh. It's a mad sound. That's it, right? That's all. I did it. I did what you wanted. Now help me save Tristan. Silence as they hover in the gloom and the fallen rain. I laugh a little louder, screaming now. Help me save Tristan. Tell me he can be saved. Let me change this one. Let me change just this one vision. I'll save 1,000 more, I promise. I begin to sob. Please tell me he can be saved. It has to mean something. Something has to change. I drop to my knees in the road with a splash to my face. I can feel the presence of the spectres dark and silent above me. Why are you putting me through this? Please, just let me go. Let it end. Please, I whisper through tears. Please. They can't bring me back, Imogen. I'm so sorry. I lift my head, not believing my ears. But there is Tristan, crouched right before me. Still that same ghostly projection, still with floating wisps of silver light at his edges. But his mouth moves, and I can hear him speak. With a desperate lurch, I reach out for his shoulder, his arm, anything. But my hand goes right through him, and my fingers connect with nothing but air. There's no way back, he says again, in a whisper, with a slow, sad smile, and I burst into tears. There's so much I want to say, but I just can't get the words out. We'll be together again one day, Imogen, he says to me, his words soft and low. But for you, the rain still falls. You must go on. He smiles and reaches into his pocket. He withdraws the ghostly rose he has there and he passes it to me and holds it for a moment in my hand. Ethereal, beautiful. And when I look up, he's gone. The rose fades a moment later. The spectres depart, one by one, quietly away. And as the rain falls, I begin the long walk to my apartment. So it goes. I never saw Tristan again. The sequence of his final thoughts never played from that night on. No ghostly shows. I went to check the spot a few times, but his death has passed at last, it would seem. The dance is done. The spectres are still around, though, when I care to look for them. Sometimes I even follow them, just to see where they lead. Sometimes they take me back to the sites of the people I saved. Sometimes to nowhere in particular. Sometimes back to my own apartment. And sometimes they lead me out of the city. I walk all night, and they lead me far, far away, all the way to the coast, and then disappear as the sun rises over it. Tristan always loved the ocean. And sometimes, if I return to that bus stop at just the right time, if I position myself in just the right place in the road, then the ghostly rose returns into my hand, and I hold it gently, just for a minute or two, just as long as I need. I told you that one was like really sad but weird, and so good. Hey, little wolf. You right, CMC? Yeah, I guess she's a bit of a paranormal stalker. Not gonna lie, the first time I read that, I genuinely did like properly cry a little, because like, I love a story that's so well written like that. Hey, little wolf. Yeah, we are the troublemakers. Right. So let's have I guess, slightly cheery one. So this is the bit, this will be the last one. You get to suggest whether you want what SCP you would like me to read, and as long as it's one of like the public domainy ones, I can read a bit of that out for you. One of the what is it? My brain has gone dead, sorry. Yeah, is there a story that you guys want me to read in particular, like SCP, urban legend, any of those? Yeah, apologise for like the potentially shitty read. I am not a voice actress and I'm not an actress, so I'm not good at the reading it like a script, I guess. I got my drink. Okay. Alright, I will do a quick urban legend and then it's off back to Slim. Then it's off to Slim's. Because the Mr. Slim, the cyborg, is doing a tour of his sexy, sexy body. Get to see all his tattoos and things. And apparently he's wearing some little French frilly lacy panties for us all. Definitely don't want to miss that. So I'm going to read. Oh no, that one is actually quite long. Right, where is it? This actually had a randomizer. Or is there a particular one you want me to read? Oof, it does not like my phone. Actually, I can do it here, can't I?
We have 30 seconds to save your cat's life.
Right. What urban legend shall I read for the last thing of the things? Ooh, there's a creepypasta story section. What's the legend of Purple Aki? I think that's going to be a bit long. I'll read that one next time. But this is the short one for the end. Just because Sim stream's already started and I don't want to take like loads of overlap time. Ooh. There's a creepypasta poems. Let's go with the classic, Laughing Jack. No, they're not the stories. Fuck it. Yeah, this is quite short. So I'll do this and then I'll do a load. I'll do like the Purple Aki and ones next week because I want to get to Sim's thing. I don't want to take people away. So, my hometown's funeral procedure. Family hometown. I've never been to my mum's hometown. My mother was born in that town, but she had never visited there since she moved out to live with my father, who was not the local there. Last month, a letter was sent to my mum. It was from a folk in her town. Her brother, my uncle, had passed away. That was when she told me the story of her hometown to me for the first time. There is a tradition, if someone dies in that town, the youngest adult from that family has to attend and help with certain funeral procedures. It was me who is the youngest relative of my past uncle. I had to go alone. My mother didn't talk much about it. She just told me to follow what the undertaker told me to. I arrived at the town the next day, late afternoon. I got to stay at my family house. My older cousin was the only one left living here. That evening, before the sun set, there was a visitor. It was the undertaker. He came here to inform me about the procedures that were about to happen the next day. The things he told me made me very uncomfortable. The procedures have been the tradition of this town for several generations and must be followed strictly. If someone died in this town, the body must be buried in this town only. That wasn't the strange part, but it's what came after that. I was told that there can be any number of people accompanying me, but I have to be the one doing the procedures. He said he would tell me the next day during the procedure. My cousin agreed to go there with me the next day. When the time came, the undertaker came to pick me and my cousin up to the graveyard. When we arrived at the place, the sun was starting to set. He led us to a small hut. My uncle was laying there on some sort of table. I could not be sure, though, whether that was my uncle or not, since there was some sort of cloth bag covering his head. As I walked to the table and got to see things inside clearly, the cloth bag was kind of creepy. There was some weird inscription all over it. There were also eyes drawn on the bag where the eyes of my uncle should be. That was when the undertaker began guiding me through the process while my cousin was standing there too, but quite further away from the table. The undertaker told me to hold my uncle's head tightly through the bag. After I did so, he began to cut off the head. After the cutting process was done, he told me to pull out the bag. I did so to reveal my uncle's face. His eyes were closed as if he was sleeping peacefully and did not know what was happening to him. The undertaker told me that this process that we'll be doing next is the most crucial. He gave me some kind of dried leaves, 2 of them to be exact. Then he told me to place them over my uncle's face, over the eyes. After I did so, he then told me to gently press them against the eyes, and whatever happens, do not lift the leaves up. I then pressed against the eyes. Something did happen. I was not sure what happened, but I could feel it. My uncle's eyes were moving, and I could feel the movements. I was about to flinch and lift my hands away. That was when the undertaker told me to concentrate. Then I forced myself to do so. It took a while. I did not know how long. The movement stopped. The undertaker then walked to me and looked at the leaves. It took quite a while. He then told me I could lift my hands up, but I had to leave the leaves on my uncle's face. He then put the bag back on and told me to follow him to bury the head on the grave he dug in the yard. He led me while carrying my uncle's headless body, and I followed him while holding my uncle's head. We then arrived at the grave, where there were 2 of them, one small grave and one big one. They were 2 foot apart. He then told me to bury the head and he will bury the body. After it was done, my cousin and I walked back to the family house. I did not talk to my cousin at all. When the morning came, I travelled straight to my home. I arrived. I had a talk with my mum about it. My mum then told me the reason why she moved out. She had to do it once, and it was her mother, my grandma. Back then, the undertaker was more strict. She had to decapitate the corpse of her mother herself, and that has traumatized her till now. And that was it. So here we go. We are heading on over here where the amazing Slim the Living Cyborg is doing a tattoo tour, which means he's more naked than normal. You never know what you might see. So I'll see you over there for the Perv Fest. Toodles. Have a lovely rest of your night, and I will be back next Wednesday. Hopefully see you before then. I might be doing some gaming. But yeah, I'm not going to just be doing Lol's Cow shit now that Ron's channel's gone. I want to focus on doing all the other things that I actually like doing, and not just having to like do the one shit because he's doing it every day. So yeah, see you then. Bye.